Good day, everyone. I'm Juan Ibarbol, and welcome to my channel. Alright, let's get right on into it. Today, I am going to be talking about character development. Um, why is it important? Well, because characters are like the engine of a car, they keep the story moving forward. If the characters are not properly developed, then your readers will drop your story faster than yesterday's news. Things to avoid: cliches and stereotypes. They have been done to death and shows laziness on the part of the writer. Exceptions could be if you're making a conscious statement or a parody. In other words, that's what you're going for, and you have a strong reason to do so. Um, Otherwise, cliches and stereotypes are tired. Everyone's heard of them once before. Be original. Push that envelope. They can make your characters, or rather, cliches and stereotypes can make your characters feel flat and uninteresting, and so people will not want to invest in them or the story. They won't care what happens to them one way or another. Sad but true. All right. Second point: don't create the perfect character. Um, and by this, I mean don't make a character who's just too perfect. That can get very annoying. Most people will start reading it and just put it down because they cannot relate to such a character. Um, I'm thinking of Superman when I talk about the perfect character. He is so perfect. He's a Boy Scout. He has all the cool powers. Nothing hurts him. Hell, his farts smell like roses after a gentle summer rain. Just saying. You can't relate to the guy. Batman, on the other hand. Oh, Batman. He has issues, okay, and he can be hurt. I can relate to him. If I had that kind of money, I might become Batman. Tony Stark, same thing. If I had that kind of money, I might become Iron Man. Just saying. Um, and if you don't believe me, there's proof. Look at the movies. Generally, Batman tends to make or have better movies than Man of Steel because he has a more compelling story. I'm just saying. Compelling stories tend to do much better. All right, moving on. Third point: do not make the mistake of writing yourself in the novel. Oh, I've heard it before. I've even done it in the past when I was, first starting out. Oh, write about what you know. Well, I know me, so I'll write about me. Don't do that. It's annoying. And by writing yourself in a novel, of course, I'm not talking about Clive Cussler, for instance. He writes himself into every one of his books and has the main character talk to him at least once per book. I mean that's something he wants to do. Hey, that's great. Whatever. That's not what I'm talking about. Though what I'm talking about is creating a work of fiction based on your life. Now that is something that we call an autobiography, and it's a completely different beast altogether. So what we're talking about here, we're talking about works of fiction. So do not write yourself into your own stories. um, if you want to write about your life and the people in it, I suggest you start and keep a journal. It's okay to use real people for inspiration, but I wouldn't translate them directly into your story. For instance, when I meet people, I make notes on certain characteristics, behaviors. When I talk to them, I notice trends in the conversation and generalize them. and then I use that as inspiration for my characters, so I can make them. Oh, okay, I want this person to be like this, la la la, and like, oh, I know a couple people that were like this. Okay, that's real. Okay, that's relatable. Okay, that works. Um, uh, but again, I do not translate them verbatim into my story. All right, so those are my don'ts. My do's. So, what do I do when I'm making the effort to develop a character? Um, well, in order to create a real character, you must make them relatable. How do you do that? Well, just like meeting a new person, you have to spend time with them. You have to take the time. You have to put the effort into getting to know them. You ask them questions. You have conversations, etc. And that's essentially what I do with my characters. Um, that will make people invest in your characters and want to know or have an interest in what happens to them, whether it's for better or for worse. Um, Things to remember is always to write a backstory or a history, a character profile. All right, so one thing to remember is to write a history or backstory for your character. The reader doesn't have to see all the details, and I'll be honest, they probably never will, but it helps you make as a writer, make the decisions based on your character's thought process and what was shaped by their experience. Again, not your experience, but your character's experience. Um, just like real people. Allow your reader to get to know your characters. Um, they shouldn't be the same at the end of the story as they were at the beginning. To me, no growth equates failing at life. And since fiction imitates life, then I want my characters to succeed by exuding growth. Um, how do I develop my characters? I have a 3-tier method, depending on what it is that how deep into the rabbit hole I want to get into. First tier. First tier, I observe my characters. So I put them in a situation or a scene, say a nightclub setting, and you just sit back and you're the wallflower, and you just sit there and you watch them interact with their environment, with the people, and just observe them. And I'll replay this scene over and over again from different angles and everything. And always in my mind's eye, of course. I'm not actually seeing this other than in my imagination. Yay, up here. Go brains. I love brains. Okay, so and once I get all the information, then I'm done. Moving on. Second tier. Here, I interact with them directly. We could be, maybe I'll have an interview with them, just flat out ask and they answer. I could have a conversation with them where it's a little less informal and like trying to meet a new friend. You're just hanging out, and I'll sit there and I'll hang out with my characters in my mind. Third tier, and the third tier can be the most interesting tier because that's when I role play. So I go out and I get the Dungeons and Dragon kit out, and by roleplay means I become immersed in the character. I become the character, and I try to see through the character's own eyes how they experience the world around them. To show you the level of commitment I have to this, I have with me a little prop that I made for Showtech, and yes, that is a chain. Yeah, check it out. This is an actual machete. This isn't the actual weapon he's using, but look at that chain. I have weight, tactile. I can feel it. I can be all Totek-like. See, I would not do this, but Totek would. Now, see, he would like it. I don't like it, but see, he'd be like, tastes like metal. No, tastes like iron, just like blood. Yeah. Totek. Everybody. So yeah, I get down to that level and just really submerge myself so that I can then write the character as, you know, do them justice. I don't do that necessarily with every character, but Totek happens to be the main character, so I feel that I need to invest a little bit more time with that particular, making my bestest best buddy. All without developing a split personality. That's key. I cannot drive that home. I mean, I'm alone in my apartment, condo, whatever, talking to myself a lot and answering myself a lot. And even though my neighbors or anybody who happens to walk in might think of me as having a personality disorder, I want to make it perfectly clear that I am not crossing that line anytime soon. Maybe. I hope. Have I? Bottom line, whatever your process is, take the time to develop your main character and secondary characters. Any character that drives the story forward deserves this, to have that time to get to know them. To avoid cookie cutter characters because, again, they are lazy and it's just well, that is all the time that I have for you today. If you enjoyed the video, then please like and share. Feel free to leave comments below, questions. I am Juan Ibarbol. Good day.